Well, I've been learning Unreal Engine for about 6 months now. I think it's about time to start a real game project, something small and focused to test my skills. You know, a game I could complete in just a few short months.
God fucking damn!
Hey, the scope of this game really got out of control, huh? This was never intended to be as massive of a project as it is, or to not be shown to the public for years on end, but hey, shit happens. What started as a simple action game back in early 2021 ended up becoming numerous different games, eventually culminating into a love letter to games of various genres. But it's honestly a miracle that I made it here at all. The subtitle of this fucking game should be Super Identity Crisis Definitive Edition, because almost 4 years ago now, Soul Volume was my very first attempt at making a game project that wasn't a game jam or an Unreal Engine tutorial, using whatever little skills I had learned up to that point. Back then, it was a small action game with little to no focus. It was just me trying to tackle the impossible task of ever being able to live up to the combat I loved in something like Kingdom Hearts 2. Then it was attempting to be a Wind Waker clone, my favorite game of all time, but my lack of programming knowledge turned it into a gigantic mess. Then, out of pure frustration, came a very long period where its genre was just constantly flipped on its head on a whim to account for my lack of experience. That period of growth and learning would take years to overcome. And then, throughout 2024, we somehow got here. An open-world action RPG with a clear focus on gameplay, story, and world. Long story short, it's an absolute fucking miracle that I made it this far, and no one should ever do what I did for 4 years straight. Spending my teenage years and early 20s in a state of constant inner turmoil because I had put myself into a seemingly endless development cycle, tackling a genre that I thought was nigh impossible for a solo developer. In a way, this game had to grow up with me. Soul Volume and I had to learn how to take our time and enjoy other parts of life, how to learn and iterate on our necessary failures. At the very least, I'd like to believe that I'm pretty good at this stuff by now, or I just really hope that I am. Soul Volume is an open-world action RPG that takes place in Hollow, a flooded world home to many islands of varying shape, size, weather, and activities. Hollow is shadowed by a massive celestial body resembling a black hole. It has many names, but most in Hollow simply refer to it as the Singularity. An entity, or a god, or something in between. This is you. You are spawned from the Singularity, crashing down into the waters in a brilliant ball of flame. Without purpose or name, you stand on the shore of a remote island, with a magical ship in tow and an army's worth of weapons in hand. The mysteries of Hollow's existence, and your own, lie on the horizons. SV's core gameplay draw lies in its combat. With inspirations such as Kingdom Hearts, Devil May Cry, and modern Final Fantasy titles, it hosts a fast-paced and fluid combat system that button mashers and technical fighting game experts can equally enjoy. The main design philosophy for the combat revolves around player expression. Creating your own movesets and builds, discovering hidden techniques and abilities, these are all the cornerstones of what I look for in a good action game. Your massive arsenal consists of up to 8 different abilities at once, wielding weapons of varying speeds and unique animations, and you can select a set of emblems that fundamentally change the way you interact with the combat system. The amount of options given is intentionally staggering, so take your time and find what clicks for you in this unforgiving world. Soul Volume's difficulty punishes a lack of experimentation with the game systems and rewards creativity, treating each combat encounter like a puzzle where one solution will not solve them all. Whenever someone asks me the classic question, what is Soul Volume about, the elevator pitch I've cultivated over the years is Wind Waker with the combat of Devil May Cry. Clean and concise. We've already discussed the combat influences, so let's take a look at the other half, the world. Hollow is split into 4 massive seas, each 64 kilometers across and 48 kilometers wide. Each sea is a 4x3 grid of quadrants, each hosting a large main island surrounded by smaller sub-islands.
That's quite big.
Every bit of footage you've been seeing up to this point has been in Quadrant D6, which is currently the only 100% completed section of the game.
God.
Its main island is Okoro Woods, which is a sort of tutorial dungeon, not unlike areas such as Skyrim's Bleak Falls Barrow or Breath of the Wild's Great Plateau. Okoro Woods offers an expansive area to play around with a snippet of all of the game's main mechanics and interactions. Here, an enemy-filled beachfront leads into a dungeon of vast cave networks called the Fellstar Grotto, showcasing enemies of various types, simple puzzles, and unique movement options the player can expect to see expanded upon later down the line. For the more exploration-driven players, small optional islets are visible on the horizon to sail to in each quadrant, bringing the game's total island count to around 200. We have this evil fucked up sandbar featuring a dangerous enemy encampment, a more peaceful sandbar with a small puzzle for treasure, and a plateau that kicks off a game-long side quest. While this is only around 1/50th of the planned content for the overworld, the speed at which quadrants are developed has thankfully increased exponentially, with D6 only taking a few weeks to build just by myself. If you'd like to experience this world for yourself, well, you can. Hey y'all, Solo Dev here. It's still just me making this, by the way. If you'd like to support the development of this game, you can literally play it right fucking now by joining our Discord server or our Patreon to become an illustrious and official alpha tester. You can find both of those links down below. You could play new development builds of the game every single month until its release. Make sure to come back next week for more Soul Volume. Peace.